James chapter 1, starting in verse 2 through 4. Consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Where I want to start today is James chapter 2. Consider it all joy, because that is the imperative. That's where it's a command from God. And so you might be wondering, like I have wondered, what does it mean to consider it all joy? I'll start with an illustration. So I, trying to consider it joy, would first try to sing songs to myself. I'm like, how do I consider the situation joy? You know, joy is, at first thought, it's a feeling, right? I feel good. I feel joyful. I feel happy, if you will. And so what I began to do was, in trying to act out this command of God, I began to first sing. You know, for me, singing is good. I know the Lord calls us to sing in books like Ephesians. It tells us to sing. In books like Colossians, it tells us to sing. And so I began to sing, you know, songs that I know that resonate with me. And I began to feel better at certain times. I'm thinking and meditating on the circumstances that have happened to me in the past, and I began to feel better. I began to, if you will, feel joyful in my estimation as to whatever I'm thinking about, whatever I'm going through. So that was working for a time, but it stopped working because there are times where I needed more. Or there are times where I would not be able to sing. I would be in the midst of a situation where singing just wasn't an appropriate thing to do. And so I began to struggle and wrestle again, because I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? Because it's calling me to do this, and I need this because I'm going through so much right now that if I don't shift my thinking, I'm going to become bitter. If you feel me, recognize that. Sit on that for a minute. You could become bitter if you're not joyful in the Lord. You could become angry if you're not joyful in the Lord. You can become what the word is, like, divisive if you're not joyful in the Lord, because you want to separate yourself and you want to separate others. You try to make everybody come to your side because you feel a certain way. You could become a lot of things that you're not supposed to be, and actually you're supposed to put all these things away. Some of that is the work of the flesh. Galatians says this, and some of that God says just to put away. Ephesians talks about this. But what do I do? So I began to consider it all joy when I encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of my faith produces endurance. Again, that's James chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. But as I began to, I don't remember if I prayed, but began to read the passage and look through. I want to show you what, by God's grace, you come to if you just keep pressing on in the scriptures and looking. So look at what you come to a few verses down in James chapter 1, verse 12. It says, "Blessed is a man who perseveres under trial." There's our word. "For once he has been approved, he will receive a crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him." And so what I want to show you is that you receive blessings when you persevere under trial. Now, you may not immediately think, okay, yeah, I get a blessing. But think of what you get for a moment. It says, "Consider all joy when you encounter various what? Trials. Knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance." And it says, "Blessed is the man who perseveres under trials." For once he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life which the Lord has promised to those who love him. So then you are blessed when you persevere under trials. You will receive a crown of life when you persevere under trials. That is a beautiful thought. If you believe in your salvation with Jesus Christ, being in Jesus Christ, if you believe in that, you can rejoice. You can have joy in that thought that you will receive a crown of life if you persevere under trials. But I'm gonna give you that. But I also want to encourage you to really think about your blessing. The blessing that you get, that you receive the eternal life with Jesus when you keep going, when you press forward through that trial, when you have the endurance that God is telling us to have, when you consider it joy, when you encounter the trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance, and you will receive the blessing. So I can consider it joy because I received the blessing. I can consider it joy knowing that I have more endurance this day than I did the day before. I have more endurance the next day than I had the day before that day, because if you're like me, because you are a Christian too, then you're going to go through trials and you're going to have times where it's going to be hard because the world is pressing you to be like it and you are needing to be like God. But you're going to receive that crown of life. You're going to receive that endurance to keep going. Men, keep going. Keep pressing. Keep enduring. Have joy. Have joy in the Lord. Whatever it takes, have joy in the Lord according to his will. See you next time.